Today's video is for all of those savers out there who want to become investors. I know there are people out there that really want to invest but have just been too scared to or don't really understand how to invest, because I was in that exact same situation. I used to save my money really well. I had a lot of money sitting in my savings account, and I was just too afraid to invest, and I didn't really understand how to invest my money. And I was able to make that switch from saver to investor, so I wanted to share the steps that I took to do that so that you can do that too. I am Tiffany Thomas with WealthyTiffany.com, and I achieved financial freedom at age 38. And if you are looking to achieve financial freedom at a young age as well, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and we're going to dive right in. The first thing that happened for me to go from saver to investor was actually starting to realize how much of a difference investing really made. Since I was good at keeping my money in a savings account, I could see it grow a little bit because of the interest I was earning on my savings, but it did not grow exponentially at all. When I started looking at different compound interest calculators, I started to notice, oh, if I invest this small amount, then over a period of even 5-10 years, my money would grow exponentially. So I recommend just playing around with a compound interest calculator. I will leave a link to one in the description below so that you can check that out and really look at your own numbers and figure out, okay, yeah, I have this much to invest each month. How much could I really have if I started investing that money? And I will show you one quick example here. Let's say you have $50,000 sitting in your savings account right now, and it's earning 1% interest, and you leave it in there for a period of 10 years, and you're going to add $500 to that savings every month. So over that 10-year period, your amount would grow to $118,331. But if you actually invest that money and you earn 8%, which is very reasonable for the stock market, then at the end of that 10 years, you would have $202,455. So your money would have almost doubled by you just investing it instead of leaving it in your savings account. Now, let's say we left that in there for maybe 20 years. It would be $540,850. So almost $500,000. And let's just take a look at 30 years. You would have $1,291,966. And let's change this back to 1%. So if you just left it in your savings account for 30 years, instead of having over $1 million, you would only have $277,299. Do you see how much of a difference that really makes? And you can see on this graph that green is the compound interest. That isn't money that you have put in. That is simply the interest earning interest. So the earlier you start, then the more money you'll be able to make, which is why it's so important to start investing as early as possible. I learned that a little later in my life, and I honestly wish I would have started earlier. All right, the second thing that helped me go from saver to investor was taking a look at other people's successes. I have a really good friend who is very successful in investing not only in the stock market, but in real estate as well. And I kept seeing how he was making his money work for him, and I kept thinking, oh, I know I need to do that. And I ended up reaching out to him and asking him to help me get started. And I was so glad that I did that, because he had already made a lot of mistakes and I could learn from him and not make as many mistakes. I also had a boss that I worked for, and he was very successful in real estate, so I asked him a lot of questions too. But it made a big difference seeing these people that were successful with investing, because you hear these horror stories about, oh, my grandpa invested in the stock market and he lost all of his money and he wasn't able to retire. Or even I have a friend, she invested right before the stock market crashed, And she took all of her money out and ended up losing on all of those gains she could have had if she just left her money alone, left it in the stock market. It is more appealing to talk about the crazy things that have happened and all of the negative things that have happened. And it's not as easy to find those that have been successful because usually they don't want to brag about it. And it's harder to find that situation, but it is doable. So ask those that are in your social circles that seem to have it together with money and ask them for tips or mentoring, because that is what made a big difference for me. The third thing that made a big difference for me to go from saving to investing was doing my own research about investing. I found a number of different blogs and YouTube channels and Instagram accounts that were showing how to be successful with investing. And that's actually how I found the FIRE movement, Financial Independence Retire Early. And that was so amazing to find that community because I was seeing people that were retiring super early in their 30s, even in their 20s and in their 40s. And I thought, what? People are doing this? If they can do it, I can do it too. And if you are curious to know more about the FIRE movement, I have a video about that. I'll leave a link above and below in the description. In doing my own research, I felt comfortable in the information that I was gathering because I didn't feel like it was forced on me from a financial planner, and I could actually see these people's successes that they were sharing. And maybe not everyone is honest, but it seems to me when there are multiple people that are achieving these goals of financial freedom at a young age, that it really is possible. So you can find those that you relate to and that you feel like you can trust, and then use their examples and incorporate what you need to become that investor. One of my favorites that I found was affordanything.com, Paula Pant. And if you haven't checked out her stuff yet, you really should. She talks a lot about real estate, which I love investing in. So I read a ton of her articles, and it was just so empowering to see her become financially free at a young age by using real estate mainly. And also by doing this research on my own, I started to learn that no, I'm not going to lose all of my money if I put it in the stock market. That's not what happens when you invest in the stock market. Depending on what you're investing in, you choose good investments that are going to be around for the long term. And one investment that I feel is really safe is the Total Stock Market Fund. And if you want more information about that, I have a video for you. I'll leave a link above and below in the description. You can check that out later on. But you can invest in an index fund that has a whole bunch of stocks inside of it. So if one of those companies, one of those stocks does go bankrupt, you're not going to lose all of your money. So you can make it very simple to invest and very safe to invest. And just doing all of this research and talking to those that have been successful, I was able to determine that investing isn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. And things really started to make sense. The fourth thing that helped me go from saver to investor is by starting small. When I was investing in the stock market, and yes, I was investing in my 401k, I was doing the minimum I could to get the company match, but I wanted to do a little bit more for myself. So I ended up setting up a Roth IRA and a brokerage account. And I just started small. I started with a few different stocks that I thought would be good. And I also invested in the Total Stock Market Fund. And if you're curious to know what my first stock was, I created a video about that, so I'll leave a link above and below in the description. You can check that out later. But I kept things really small. I just started with a few $100s and then I went up from there. So it wasn't as scary to jump in because I wasn't investing thousands to begin with. And once I felt more comfortable, I started to invest a little bit more and a little bit more. And by doing so, I started to see success with my money. It was starting to really grow. And I remember investing in Netflix when it was around $100, and I just put in a small amount, and then I kept watching the stock and thought, this is a really good company. A lot of my friends are using this company. I personally didn't have a subscription, but I could see the potential there. And so I invested thousands of dollars in Netflix, and it was a little bit scary, but the price ended up almost doubling within a short amount of time. So I pulled out some of my money just to make myself feel more comfortable. But now I'm thinking, oh, I should have just left all of that money in. But by taking those first steps, it made it easier to invest more and more money. And that's not to say with every investment it's going to double within a couple of months. And if you want to start very small and easily, Webull is giving away 2 free stocks if you open a free account and deposit $100 with them. I will leave my referral link below in the description, and you can click on that and get your 2 free stocks and easily get started investing. And I also started small with real estate. I had my own place. I purchased a townhouse and I had roommates in there, but I wanted to get a rental property. So I decided to purchase a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo as my first strictly rental property. And I just wanted to see how it would go. And for me, it went very well. It was a little slow in the beginning to get a renter in there, but after that, I got the hang of things and it started providing that extra cash flow for me with very little work on my part. I eventually bought another place that I moved into, and then another place that is a 4-bedroom house. So I got a little bit bigger, a little bit braver, and started really making a lot of my money work for me. And that's how it pushed me into financial freedom. And it wasn't by happenstance. I planned out, I knew what my numbers were, I knew I needed to get one more property to achieve financial freedom, and that's what I did. I worked toward that goal. And as I'm sure you've noticed, property values have increased astronomically in the past little while. So while I'm not planning to sell my properties anytime soon, it's nice to see that value rise. And this goes along with the last item that I want to talk about, item number 5. And this is keeping a long-term perspective. A lot of people get caught up in the short term and they want to make cash as quickly as possible, and there's a bunch of get-rich-quick schemes. And that is not how you become an investor. You think about the long term. What are your long-term goals? When do you want to achieve financial freedom? And you start investing your money, making it work for you. And you can start with a very small amount and then continue to increase that over time. But for me, when keeping that long-term perspective, it made it a lot easier when I saw my investments go down, especially last year. But I thought, you know what? I'm not in this for the short term. I'm in this for the long term. And I know that the stock market will continue to rise over time. Yes, there will be ups and downs, but the natural trend is up. And that's the same with real estate. It will rise over the long term. When moving from saver to investor, really keep that long-term perspective. And that will help you not have as much stress when you do see the investments go down, because that will happen. But that's not the time to sell. You want to actually buy more when the stock market is on sale, because it will go back up over time. Hopefully these 5 different items helped you see how you can move from saver to investor. Comment below if you are going to start investing, or if you already are investing. I am curious to know. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.